gun deaths in the United States amounted to 32,000 last year alone. Now, this might seem like a huge number, accounting to 1/100th of the whole population, but I plan on putting this all into proper perspective. Remember this number, 32,000. So first, we'll go through the history of guns in America and also the history of gun control and why it came about in the first place. Then, we will go over some statistics and what they mean, and then I'll explain to you why you should go out and get a gun for yourself as soon as possible. My name is David Miller, and I've been around guns my whole life, starting around the age of 10 or so. I found a great website that explained the history of guns and gun control called ebscohost.com. Now, early settlers to the United States used firearms for hunting and for defense against raiding war parties of Native Americans. In 1791, the United States Constitution was amended for the second time to include the statement, and I quote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." In effect, this was the expansionist tool to settle the New World, without which they would not have been able to defend themselves. In 1871, right after the Civil War, the NRA was founded by two ex-Union soldiers to promote rifle shooting and the safety of firearm handling. In the 1930s, more guns began to be used by the mob and other prohibition dodgers, and the government began by banning machine guns and taxing gun sales. In 1968, the Gun Control Act outlawed mail-order gun sales, and this arose from the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King, Jr. Now that we've stated the history of guns and gun control, let's talk about some current gun-related statistics and some perspective on the subject. Again, and as I've stated before, there were 32,000 gun-related deaths in the United States last year. And here's the breakdown of that alarming number gleaned from the FBI database. 60% were suicides, 3% were accidental, and 34% of which were classified as homicides. And here's your perspective. Japan has a heavily non-firearm culture and yet has double the suicide rate of the United States. Great Britain outlawed firearms in January of 1997, a year after the Dunblane school massacre, and homicides have never been lower than that year, according to the United Kingdom government website. Gang-related gun deaths in big cities such as Chicago and Baltimore account for 80% or more of all homicides. So, with the history of the debate at hand and the number of firearm deaths in perspective, the next question that should be asked is, do I need a weapon, and why or why not? So obviously my answer to you is yes, and I'll give you 3 reasons why. Number 1, having a gun helps you to better defend yourself and your family. If guns are banned, the only people that will have them are those who procured them illegally. Criminals don't have their backgrounds checked, and they don't buy guns legally. And this makes the law-abiding citizen, you and I, easy prey for any criminal. Number 2, gun control does not work. Cities that have made gun control a platform of their agenda have seen a rise in gun-related crime. Chicago in 2016 saw murder rates rise 72% and gun-related deaths rise 88% in the first 3 months of this year alone. Chicago has some of the toughest gun control laws in the country. There is no correlation between higher gun control and less crime, and in fact, when there is more gun control, it's been shown that there is more crime, not less. Number 3, if the politicians don't want you to own a gun, why do all of their bodyguards carry guns? Why is it okay for them to have protection, but not for you to defend your family or go hunting? What makes them more important than the average American? And why is it a do as I say and not as I do mentality? I could go into many more reasons and arguments, but for the sake of time, I'll end it with that. Now, hopefully, I've at least made you think consciously about this very important subject. We've talked about the history behind the use of firearms and the current gun control argument and the statistics behind gun-related deaths in this country. I've ended with why I feel everyone should own a gun, which included defending yourself against those who would wish to harm you or your family. And I'll end it with this. Thomas Jefferson said in 1776, "The laws that forbid the carrying of arms are laws of such a nature. They disarm only those who are neither inclined nor determined to commit crimes. Such laws make things worse for the assaulted and better for the assailants. They serve rather to encourage than to prevent homicides, for an unarmed man may be attacked with greater confidence than an armed man." Thank you for your time.